I'm here with Meryl Comer, president of the Geoffrey Beene Foundation Alzheimer's Initiative, who is also the keynote speaker at Saturday's general session at AAPA's annual conference. And I want to thank you for talking with me today.
My pleasure.
I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, most of your conversation addressing PAs was about your personal story with Alzheimer's disease. And I wonder if you could share a little bit with the folks who may have missed the general session, just about your personal story with Alzheimer's, with caring for your husband and now your mother.
Well, I've been taking care of my husband for 16 years. The point I'm trying to make for the audience is that this is going to be the future. This is the dark side of longevity because we outlive cancer, HIV, AIDS, other diseases. And this one is the one that will stop a generation in its tracks. My husband was a physician early on, at 56 years old, in denial. And the reason I wanted to be here, because I do take care of my husband every day, is that to me the PAs are on the front line. You spend more time with patients, you see it, you know it, and you also know the doctors don't diagnose it because there's nothing to treat with, or they haven't spent enough time. But I feel that the earlier the diagnostics, the better the chances. And if we talk about quality of life for a patient, you know, with that disease, when a patient walks into a doctor's office, you have two patients. You have the patient and you have the caregiver. The caregivers, because of the intensity of care, get worn out. They have multiple problems, and many times, and studies are showing they're dying before because of the intensity of care. Nobody understands. It's like having somebody attached to your hip 24/7, and you can't let it go because they can't be left alone. You're their quality of life. So I do think that it's an important being on the front lines of early diagnostics. Typically, diagnosis comes 2 years after symptoms. And people hide out. Well, a doctor doesn't spend enough time. It's the PA who's there with the patient, watches the couple dynamic. I think that, to me, is the future and the best place for assessment. And done in a holistic kind of way, which is what PAs do. I mean, you're there with us, and I'd much rather hang out with you, excuse me, than the doctors.
That's great. And you mentioned in your speech just about the patient-centered medical home and how important you think PAs can be in that, especially with diseases like Alzheimer's. Do you see that PAs are in a great role like that?
Definitely, and because I see it's the wave of the future because of the sheer numbers. I mean, 86 million Americans between the ages of 50 and 80. I mean, target zone for diseases. And, you know, it's not just Alzheimer's. That's just the most common form of dementia. But you've got vascular dementias after stroke, always memory problems, issues. Parkinson's typically has in that spectrum a memory issue. MCI, mild cognitive impairment. Most people in assisted living, MCI, 60% translate to Alzheimer's unless a secondary infection takes them out. So we are dealing with an epidemic in the making, and what better than to put PAs right at the forefront of rescuing a generation that they happen to be part of, by the way, if they're baby boomers. So I think it's a natural opportunity to seize because they spend more time with patients, more involved with the care around patients. The doctor will never make it. It'll be too long, take too long. So that's why our foundation is focused on early diagnostics and eager to work with your organization to see what we might do. And I want you reimbursed for it, by the way.
I'm sure PAs always want to hear that. And I want to thank you so much for talking with me today. We really appreciated your speech.
My pleasure. Thank you.